To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Disneyland is commonly known as the happiest place on Earth, full of wonderful characters and childlike whimsy. But Disney does have its fair share of dark humor or dark elements in its attractions and in its lands. Today we are going to be talking about a few of these darker elements that the children might not notice or might not want to notice. This is the dark side of Disneyland. Been lots of doom and gloom on this channel recently, Dallin. Are you alright? And without further ado, let's begin. Now we're talking about weird, spooky, unexpected turns these Disney attractions might take, and I would be remiss if I didn't speak about Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. And I think you are all very well aware of the scene that I'm talking about. That's right, the scene where you're going through Toad Hall and just messing up a bunch of stuff and breaking a bunch of plates. That scene is horrifying. Now, obviously, guys, I'm joking. I'm of course talking about the scene where you get hit by a train and then sent to hell. There's the devil, who looks remarkably similar to the judge who sentenced you earlier, and a bunch of little rubber red devils jumping around everywhere. And not to mention the fact that they bump up the heat in that scene, which makes the whole thing way more immersive and way more unnerving, because this is a children's ride. Very interesting that they send you to hell. Now, is this scene creepy? No, not at all. But it is dark because you die and go to hell. And this isn't the creepy side of Disneyland rides, this is the dark side of Disneyland rides. It's not necessarily scary, but it's something that might go over the kids' heads and make the adults ask, what? Why? This is a kid's ride. What? Now, moving on to an attraction that more people would think is along the creepy side. It's a Small World. Now, many people are unnerved by the dolls as you go through this attraction, but I'm not going to talk about any certain animatronic. I'm going to be talking about a stagnant doll, a figure in the finale scene of It's a Small World. I'm going to talk to you today about the infamous Help Clown. During the finale scene, if you were to look up and to the left, you would see a hot air balloon, and sitting inside this hot air balloon would be a small clown. Now, this clown was unlike a lot of the animatronics or dolls in It's a Small World because this clown had a frowny face. Not only was he frowning, but he was also holding a small sign with red lettering on it that said simply, help. Now, no one knows exactly why this clown was put there in the first place, but we can only assume that this clown does not like all the happiness and glee and joy going on around him, and he just wants help. Unfortunately, the clown was removed in a renovation, so don't go there today looking to find him because you won't. All I can say is that I personally hope one day that they add him back in. Just imagining riding It's a Small World, looking up and seeing a clown frowning with a sign that says help. I mean, not only is that a little bit dark, a little bit morbid, but it's super funny. Maybe someday the Small World Help Clown will return. Now, this whole time we've been talking about things that scare you in your mind. Well, what about things that scare you physically? Oh, wait. That doesn't sound right. What about things that threaten you physically? That's a little bit better. Now, this is a brand new addition to the Disneyland Railroad, something we have not seen until it has recently reopened a couple, weeks ago. Along the front end of Star Wars Land, where you're going over the bridge, underneath said bridge is a small beaver chewing away at the support beams for the tracks. Now, judging by this picture, he's already made his way through one of the support beams and he's working on the next one, so, over the years, just be careful while you're riding the railroad, because you never know what's going to happen or when something could come crashing down. Okay. All I'm saying is that if there's another train accident at Disneyland, you know who to blame. Not that one conductor who ran off that one time, but this little beaver. Now, Critter Country is a very child-friendly land, unless you are afraid of animatronics then, in which case I would recommend you stay far, far away from it. Splash Mountain recently got a brand new character introduced into the attraction called Brer Hat. He was introduced a few weeks ago, and he has not moved since. Seriously. Now, a lot of people love Splash Mountain, but not a whole lot of people give enough love to its attraction right across the pathway, The Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, especially those who miss the attraction that used to be there, the Country Bear Jamboree. Well, fret not those of you who enjoyed the Country Bear Jamboree, because as you're leaving the Heffalumps and Woozle scene, make sure to look behind you. That's right, you can see the decapitated heads of Max the Buck, Buff the Buffalo, and Melvin the Moose. Yeah, not quite the tribute you were expecting, but it's something. Now, these aren't actually decapitated animatronic heads, but they are static or non-animatronic heads taken from the mile-long bar that once resided across from the Playhouse. Now, I could talk about some lesser-known dark elements of the Haunted Mansion, but, you guys have probably heard it 1,000 times. It's getting old at this point. I'll just save that for later. The final dark element to this video brings me back to Main Street, USA. Right when you enter the park, turn to your right. There you will find the Disneyland story featuring great moments with Mr. Lincoln. Now this personally is one of my favorite attractions in Disneyland, and it is a shame not a whole lot of people know it's there or just walk right past it. Now of course the Civil War was a dark time in human history, but we are not focusing on the war today. Today we are going to focus on the man himself, Abraham Lincoln. More specifically on the animatronic Abraham Lincoln. Now the animatronic that is there today is not the same animatronic that was used at the World's Fair all those years ago, but it is an updated version of the animatronic. Instead of a hydraulic animatronic, this one is actually electric. And while this changed most of the internal workings on the animatronic, most of the outside stayed pretty much the same, including his face. Some of you probably know where I'm going with this. The audio animatronic Abraham Lincoln's face was molded from a real-life death mask of Abraham Lincoln himself. Now some of you may not know what a death mask is. Basically when someone dies, their face is molded with either plastic or wax. This was done not only to preserve this person's legacy and build statues and everything out of them, but also to give people in the future an idea what this person looked like when they died. So you know what that means? Means whenever you're looking up at this audio animatronic giving his wonderful speech, you are looking at the dead face of our president, Abraham Lincoln. Or at least my president. I don't know where you guys are watching from. Now it is late, but I have a list of all the patrons here and I'm going to read each and every one of your names out loud. So, you were all entered into the contest, thank you so much for donating, and I will actually announce the winner of the contest on Patreon as soon as this video is live, so be watching for that. We have, in order, Eric Seifker, Brexton, Robin Wood, Alex Steen, Jason Varney, Alora Gong, Braun Vidal, Love B. Jones, Kenneth Camille, Autumn Keeling, Angel Lopez, Alexis Monaghan, Joanna McGee, Madeline Pattison, Emma Cucci, Comics Bill, John Kelly, Eric Artega, Bryce Henry, Jeremiah Lefdeur, Viviana Naldier, Alicia Kate Farmer, AJ Griffin, Christian Camacho, David Victoria, Hannah E. Van Gremp, Squid Miku, All Disney Day, Renee Lucas, Gabriella Nadeau, Mike Mouthen, Madison Gifford, Kevin Burns, Haley Renee, Nick Zinda, and this is the higher tier of patrons, those who've donated more than $1. We have Tim Kinsella, Pat Lloyd, The Lone Drone, Toby Jones, Wesley, Anthony Soto, Dana Bouliard, Joshua Bailey, Nuclear Fusion, Nevin Valentine, and Nelly Ruiz. Thank you all so much for donating on Patreon. You guys go the extra mile. I love everything you guys do for me. You're all going to be entered into the contest. Even if you don't win, you still get access to all the cool early access audio that I post there, videos that I post there, and polls that I post there. So keep doing what you're doing. You people are amazing. Thank you so much for watching this video. Comment down below. Let me know, what is the darkest thing that you've seen at Disneyland? Personally, mine is probably the death mask for Mr. Lincoln, knowing we're just looking at a dead man. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.